Hey everybody, welcome to our reading. It's a general reading. Take what works, leave what doesn't. It's for anyone and everyone for whenever they find it. All right. So we're starting off with some oracle cards from the Matt Hughes Oracle deck. We have White Buffalo. So, this is interesting. This is not the first time this has come out this week. So it can represent a peace offering. It can represent gratitude for the abundance you already have and for an abundance that you will receive. And we also have rabbit and fox, which is really interesting because these two together are going to represent an offering of some kind. Perhaps even an offering of self, perhaps even an offering of ego, a generosity and an assistance. But White Buffalo Woman also talks about discernment between two paths, or even two people. Because as she approached the two people, one of them had, I don't want to say ill intentions, but the story is like impure thoughts, and they got disappeared. And then the other one really understood what they were seeing and what they were looking at, and received the blessing. So I think there's a lot of like gratitude, and I think the attitude between the two people that first saw her, one was greed and one was gratitude. So there may be an offering that comes in, or you may be the offering that comes in, and to be just paying attention to whether the response, your own response or someone else's response, is greed or gratitude. Do they feel like greed or gratitude, I think, is the choice here. And gratitude will be obviously blessed. And then we have rabbit and fox. So this is a story of the rabbit and the moon. So the moon goddess comes down to earth and is struggling, as earthlings do. No matter how holy our origins, there's a struggle down here. So this moon goddess took earthly form and was struggling and lost in the woods. And the animals of the woods came to help. And so they all brought little things, eggs, or I forget what all, but to help her build a shelter, to help her build a fire, to help her whatever. And Rabbit brought wood to build a fire and told her to build a fire, and then told her to put the rabbit on the fire, the self on the fire, and in that way feed herself. So, right, this can talk a little bit about like over generosity, having good boundaries, but at the same time there was a sacrifice that was made, and in return, unknowns to the rabbit, they were sacrificing for the goddess, and in return, the goddess put them in the moon. In most cultures, instead of seeing a wailing man in the moon, see a rabbit of abundance. And it is the year of the rabbit in Chinese astrology. So, the abundance, and I think that fits perfectly with this white buffalo and the rabbit and the fox. The abundance being provided for, abundantly provided for, even if you make a sacrifice. So the sacrifice, we're still being mindful of boundaries, but if you feel called to make a sacrifice or something, there is a sense of being cared for. There's a sense of just gratitude, a circle of gratitude, a cycle of gratitude going on here. And a gift freely given is very different than a gift demanded, right? The moon goddess didn't demand well, now, rabbit, you have to give me your life because otherwise I'm going to die and I'm very important. It was, you know, it was freely given. It was a gift that was freely given. So, moving on to the other oracle deck where I just was pulling cards while I was talking and thinking about something else. We have distance and insight. So, to me, this is like getting some sort of understanding coming with time. Looking at the bigger picture and that providing some kind of insight. Getting away from the hubbub. This almost reminds me of like a little writer's retreat or something where you get away from the hubbub and you go focus on something and come up with clever solutions. I love the card Insight. It is about like, you know, this crow wants this shrimp, and if it goes directly for the shrimp, it can't get the shrimp, but it's learned and figured out through experimentation that if it puts some rocks in here, it can raise the level of the water, and then the shrimp comes to it. So again, I see like a blessing, some sort of sustenance, some sort of blessing, but it comes in an unusual way. And you figure it out. It's not, it's like not going directly towards what you want, but doing something that brings what you want closer to you, or brings a, I don't know, it would feel like a blessing then when the shrimp is here, but there's something that you've done that's made this more likely, or made this rise to you, brought something to yourself through doing something else. So, and going back to this white buffalo and rabbit and fox, this can look like perhaps giving something, right? Instead of taking something out of this jar, this crow is putting something into this jar, but it will benefit from that eventually. So it's actually a way of bringing what you want in. So I would say gratitude and generosity as being a possible way of bringing something in. So we're not doing it, there's a sense of giving in order to receive here. And trusting that, you know, the more you give, the more you put in this jar, the more you give to this jar, the closer or the more likely you are to receive the thing that you actually want. So giving something, putting something into something in order for, it's this, the thing that you want comes to you as you give. And that's not all. And again, we're talking about not demanding. It's not people that are demanding from you. It's people that are giving, or that you want to give to, that you feel called to give to. There's some sort of offering here, and it's coming in really clearly, offering, bringing in something that is a treasure to you in a roundabout way, in a way that doesn't seem obvious on the surface. And then we have distance, again, like getting some sort of the overall picture. This all has like 6 of coins all over it. Like the overall picture is ebb and flow, give and take. And maybe it's not exact, and maybe it's not bean counting, and maybe it's not precisely what you thought should happen, or exactly how, you know, normally in our culture, we see it, we want it, we get it, we take it, it's ours. This is not that method of getting something that you want at all. This is a totally different way of doing this. You're getting something that you want out of gratitude. And the gratitude itself should feel good. It shouldn't feel forced. It shouldn't feel angry. You know, I guess I have to be thankful for this or else I won't get what I want. It should feel good. All of these things, like the reward is that we feel good. And it's not, I don't know what people call pure altruism, as far as like you get nothing in, well, that's just being used. If you give away stuff and it's not, you don't love it. I don't want to receive things that people don't want to give me. Just don't do it. Then it's just got some bad juju with it, or weird motivations. If you're not enjoying giving something, then the motivations all seem like, why are you, you know, all seem sus to me, honestly. If you don't enjoy giving, don't give to me, and the motivation just seems weird. So there's a sense in which you're being very generous, and because it's the right thing to do, or because it's part of your values, or because you recognize someone, or you recognize both of these are gods that came in human form and received gifts. And I feel like that a blessing will be returned to you. Both of these are holy beings that are here on earth to give, but they also require something, gratitude. They're here to, right? The moon goddess was having a hard time. The white buffalo came with blessings. The moon goddess had, a hard time. And both of these were tests for people. Or for the rabbit and for the two men that the white buffalo woman arrived at. They're both tests. So, and then the distance, getting some sort of perspective. And maybe this is someone coming from some distance too, from some other, maybe some other realm, but also like some other place. But if I could say anything, it's generosity and gratitude are absolutely key this week. Okay, moving on to the tarot. And there's a bigger picture to look at, a much bigger picture. All right, we have from the tarot 5 of emotions. Overall, this is about something you've grieved, some sort of loss. And it may have been a loss. This card always, to me, talks about a delayed grief, a frozen grief that then starts to move and flow. Something that maybe was shocking at first and surprising at first, but now flows. So a grief process, which is important to go through at your pace. And we can grieve all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be a death. It can be all sorts of things. Losses of dreams, of potential, of time, of capacity. There's all sorts of things to grieve here. This is, as the moon goddess discovered, a pretty rough road to travel down here on Earth. So any number of things could do this, but it always reminds me of a delayed grief process. And then there's always an option to continue with the process or get stuck in a certain part of the process. So there's a sense too of how do you know if you're stuck in the process, right? Like, it's a process, and some parts may take longer than others. Well, let's see what the rest of the cards have for us. Past, present, inner landscape. What's at issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Nope, this all came. I'm holding the deck upside down. So hold on, I'm going to reshuffle. We'll start this again. All right, so yes, I was holding the deck upside down, but the first card that came out was right side up, so I didn't notice. And I'm just going to do another shuffle here. I don't know, everything that happens in these readings, I always talk about that as like being part of the reading. So maybe there's something that needs to be restarted. Maybe there's something that, I don't know, needs to be looked at a different way. Maybe there's some hangman energy there, looking at something a different way. All right. Wow, that really wanted to split right there. All right. What? Are these? No, this is so funny. Okay. Well, again, the first one coming out is upside down. So to me, this is like weird because in the other one, I was holding the deck upside down. Something's really topsy-turvy here. Something that doesn't look right actually is, perhaps. Like, again, that giving is actually going to be receiving. Like, there's just a reversal or mirror effect going on here. So, but I'm going to take this upside down one. because that seems right. Ace of inspiration. So, well, not feeling inspired, pretty much a little bit the same, but different as the other one. Not feeling inspired, not feeling excited about things, not seeing the vision, not feeling excited about something. It's just, and maybe it is something that feels a little bit like drudgery, a little bit like, well, I guess I have to do this, or not seeing where something's going, not having a project to work on. Yeah, just not feeling very inspired. It could actually be depression, especially since we got that 5 of Cups in the last one, which can be depression. Regrets, depression. There's not a vision for the future. There's not a lot of excitement for the future right here. So past, present. Okay, I'm holding the deck upside down again. Guys, this is like a circus. Oh my gosh. I feel very circusy too here. Past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Okay. Whew, everything feels like it's set aright again. The world is set aright. It took some tweaking. Oh my goodness. Okay. A big ending here in your past, something that was over. So why are we talking about it? If it's over, this is a like super over card. End of a chapter. Maybe the end of a chapter happened and there's just like, you got to close the book, put it back on the shelf. There's a little bit more to do. But overall, you know that this is over. This is done. This isn't going to go on anymore. This relationship is over. You just got to pick up your stuff. This, maybe it is a past relationship that maybe you are still grieving, or maybe it has really drained you. This Ace of Inspiration can feel like a draining here too. So something in the past, it's over. It ended. You're not doing that anymore. It could be like a whole chapter of your life, like a job ending, a house ending, a major relationship ending. But also, you know, we do these weeklies, but it's something from your past. Something's already ended and you know it. It's over. It's ended, whether you wanted it to or not. A current situation, justice. You're trying to act with integrity. You're trying to be honest. There could be some legal stuff that's still involved here. You know, we could still have a legal situation involved. Going to court, trial, something unfair may have happened. You taking the high road. Oh, we talked about this as your to-do list last week, wasn't it? It was justice. It was taking the high road. It was calculating in unintended karma into situations. Something maybe wasn't fair for you and you made it fair for you, or you took action about it. The event's already over and done with. There's maybe some fallout here, some karmic fallout, issues of fairness, issues of honesty and truth, issues of how you do what you do, issues of being fair to everyone, including yourself and others. There might have been like a couple, like 2 ways to approach a situation, and you chose, or you are in the process of choosing trying to choose the right thing, the right path, the high road, the best path. And that is inclusive of you. We talked about that last week. It's inclusive of you, doing what's right for you, doing the right thing. We also have this with rabbit and fox. Maybe you sacrifice something for your overall integrity, because that white buffalo talks about integrity. And rabbit and fox also talks about integrity too, and doing the right thing. Perhaps you sacrifice something because it was the right thing to do, even though it felt weird. I see like a sense of feeling split apart, feeling split into, and I want to say a fork in the road. It almost feels like lovers, like having to make a decision about who you want to be and how you want to live your life. Right? Someone was recently asking me to like spill the beans on someone else. You know, what do you think? What do you really think of them? What do you really think of them? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do this conversation. And they were like, why? Don't you trust me? And I was like, well, has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the decision I have made about how I want to live my life. It doesn't have to do with me trusting you or not trusting you. I'm not going to live my life like this, talking about other people and I mean, sometimes, of course, but it's just like a decision to make that you have to make, like, about how are you going to live your life? Who are you going to be here? And it's these decisions that can be both hard to make, but also fairly easy. It was just, no, this is an easy decision for me. I'm not living my life like that. So it maybe felt like, a decision point too. I see like a decision point here of how you're going to live your life. Who are you going to be? And it's once you decide, I feel like there's a lot of ease there. Once the decision is made, is I'm not going to talk crap about people. That's just what it is. And that's a decision about me. That's all. It's not a big deal. And then it wasn't taken as a big deal, So your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape, 8 of emotions. So we have moving on from something. You want to move on. Maybe something ended, something was already completed. It seemed very unfair to you. Perhaps you take steps to rectify that, or you've just maintained your integrity even though it was very hard, even though it seemed unpleasant. You've done the right thing. And despite despite the situation offering an opportunity to do the wrong thing, or there could be like legal issues involved here. You'd just like to move on at this point. Just move on. I want to go. You see someplace better, or you're hoping to see someplace better. I'm not sure with this Ace of Inspiration here. I'm not 100% sure that you feel like this is better, that you know that this is better. You want to see the better place. Like you want to move on, but you also would like to see that where you're going and where you're headed actually has like more of what you want. The 8 of Emotions, and this one in particular, she's in the desert and an eclipse comes. And because the eclipse comes, because something blots out the sun, she actually is able to better see the lay of the land. It's not sort of like this all-encompassing light, or she's actually more capable. So something may have come in that darkened out the situation or dimmed the light, but that light dimming is actually very good here, because it's saying that it's helping you see something a lot more clearly, because something's become, the light's been dimmed. Something exciting is no longer exciting. Something's been occluded here, and you're actually able to see the lay of the land better, and you're actually able to see that what you want actually isn't here. Like in a way, you were blinded by some kind of light at some point, and now you're seeing like this isn't actually what I want. But I think like this is hopes, fears, and your inner landscape. You're moving on, but what I think that you're wanting is perhaps, but where to? I can see that this isn't right. I can see that this isn't for me. I can see that this isn't a place where I can thrive and grow and build my life. But you're lacking a vision of where you're going. And this eclipse here also says to me about lacking a vision, seeing what is, seeing that's not sustainable, but then not necessarily like, we don't see where she can go here. She sees, oh, I'm not in heaven, actually, I'm in a desert. But we're not seeing where is the temperate land, where is the jungle, where is the water, where are they going? So there's both something that you can see, which is seeing how this place of light isn't actually heaven. It maybe was at some point, but it's not anymore. But I think like typically with the 8 of Cups, we're seeing there's a vision for where we're going, and typically it's the moon, and we already have the moon represented here with the rabbit and the fox. But the moon here is actually the only thing that can be seen is that intuition, and it's blotting out the light, and the intuition is saying this isn't right for me anymore, and the light is being blotted out here by the moon, right? An eclipse happens. Well, does the eclipse happen by the moon? Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I don't know this right now off the top of my head. It's the Earth shadow that goes in, or the moon's? No, it's the moon. No, it's the Earth. Oh my gosh, you guys. I know this. I just don't know it right now. It's in a different part of my brain. It's filed someplace else. So anyway, but what I'm seeing is like what we're seeing here is we know this isn't for you, but I don't think you're able to see right now, and you would really like to where this is all going and what's happening. So 5 of materials, what's at issue? Perhaps 5 of materials is feeling excluded, feeling left out, feeling maybe even kicked out or abandoned in some way. A lot of times 5 of materials in the upright is like a mentality, a lack mentality, a decision to remove yourself from a situation. But in the reverse here, what I see is somebody being left out or kicked out, or it's not a decision, it's not a choice, and it could be very physical, this like lack. There's something lacking here. And the 5 of materials in reverse with the Ace of inspiration here in reverse, this just looks like a lot of depression, lackluster. I mean, of course you can't, you're like, this ain't right here. I can't do this, but this feels like maybe some things were out of your control. You didn't have a say in your lack. So a lot of times we'll have like people outside the church, they could go in, but they don't. And there's often like a choice about this, but this could be like literally in your physical environment. It's lacking something, possibly funds, possibly friends, community support. There could also be a sense of having been left out of something. Somebody was, and maybe it wasn't you. Maybe you're seeking justice for having been left out of something, or removed from something, or it was unfair, but you behaved as best you could given the circumstances. But there does seem to be like this 5 of materials is a lack, is being left out, feeling left out. And not just feeling left out. I feel that in the reverse, there's a sense of somebody having been very left out. And this Justice card, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was somebody else that was left out or removed. And you watched that and you saw that happen. And for some reason that like woke something up in you, that something, that you want something more. Well, especially if you're in this situation, you definitely are going to be realizing that this is the desert, this isn't right for you. That's why I'm saying that this feels very physical, because, or real. It's not just a lack mentality. It is real. Like you have realized that there isn't anything here for you. And so where to now, though? I don't see that you see that right now. So in some aspect of your life, there's a sense of having been left out. It feels very unfair. And it's not going to work for you. So all around you, though, in your environment, 3 of inspiration. This could be reasons to have hope, people that have hope, a vision. Maybe someone else has a vision for the future. It's like there's this ending here, and it leaves you out. But 3 of inspiration in your environment, it's like not just it's hope for the future, but not just hope. It's like a belief, a confidence. There's a confidence in the future. There's a confidence. There's a confidence here, which seems unfounded, that you don't see. There's dominoes. There's a process that's unfolding here, and it goes someplace good that you've asked for, that you've wanted. So this is someone else in your world believing in something, having a lot of faith, or there could just be like reasons to have faith. So this could both be real and a mentality. That seems to have been coming out a lot in the readings lately, that there are real dangers here, but also there's the mentality of being in danger all the time. And both of those can be worked with, right? We might need to make corrections in our environment, in our life, and also in how we're seeing things and how we're processing things. So it could be like there are reasons to hope. There are ships coming in. There is a process unfolding in your environment. And also this position can be things that you're not aware of too. that this process is unfolding, and the space that you're at right now is actually unfolding. Oh, and then with the Fool card coming next after this World Cosmos card, this is really interesting because your to-do list is the Fool card, taking a leap of faith. So let's talk about the pinball analogy I come up with a lot for these. My phone like locked me out is just really funny. So again, we have this idea. So, and as I was talking about the World card, something coming to an end. So this reading came to an end. My phone's senses came to an end. Gosh, it was really funny. And then there's this sense of beginning again. And so I restarted this. I've had to restart my phone. I restarted this reading. Like I started it. Words did not come out right. And so I just was like, oh, we're 5 seconds in, let's stop it, restart. Then I pulled these cards. They weren't right, stopped, restarted. So there's something that's ended, and then there's a new beginning here. So, and we were just starting to talk about the pinball analogy, where this is when the ball leaves the thing and your little flappers it just goes right through. You can't do anything about it. You can flap those flappers all you want, but this thing's over whether you want it or not. And then we have this like new beginning. So this Three of Inspiration is like, you can't see the ball. The ball is headed back into position for another round. You can't see the ball, because the ball is doing internal things. It's reminding me of the Wheel of Fortune card and how I see that sometimes as sort of this Rube Goldberg machine, as far as like, you do this one thing here and then all of this stuff happens, and then you get something over here that has nothing to do with what you did over here. You did something. Oh, and that's what we were talking about too here with this insight too, is you're doing something. This is the Rube Goldberg machine. You're doing something, you did something, and it has all of these like ramifications. This whole process unfolds. This whole domino effect unfolds. You've done something, this whole domino effect unfolds, and it's going someplace. You're getting something you want, but not in the way it's that whole machinery of life that's sort of behind the scenes and is behind everything that's going on, and you can't see behind the curtain. So there's a lot going on behind the curtain, is what I'm seeing with this insight here, is like you're doing something that's part of this unfolding that's getting you someplace that you want. It's like you're giving something, you're doing something, right? You're giving up this rabbit gave of itself no concept that it was going to be put up into a moon for all of eternity because of what it did, but that it was going to live with the moon for the rest of its life, that they were going to, but it's some sort of sacrifice or offering that's been made that actually ends up bringing you something, but it's all behind the scenes. So that's what I'm seeing. And then we get into position. So this Fool card is the pullback of the launcher thing in the pinball machine, right? It's the pullback of, it's in position, and you can now do another round. You starting a new thing. You're starting a new thing here. You're taking a leap of faith, because we don't know how many points we're going to get in this game. We don't know how long it's going to go. We don't know anything about it, but we know that we're being asked right now to pull that thing back and launch that. See what happens. See what happens. Yeah, the Fool card, taking a leap of faith, moving forward with something, a new thing. And look, she's in the desert. Here, she's like, wait a minute, this ain't paradise. This is a desert. I thought I was in the light. I thought I was living in the light, and maybe they were for a time. And now with this eclipse, they're getting actually a better view that this place isn't sustainable. They can't stay here. And where were they going? Well, here they come to the edge of this desert that they're in here, right? Here they come to the edge, and what's at the edge? We don't know, but we gotta leave. We gotta leave this place. There's a leap of faith. Okay, we've come to the edge of the known world, And we're taking a leap of faith. We've taken a leap of faith before. That's how we got to this part, this ending. We took a leap of faith. It feels risky, but there's also a call. There's also a knowing. Well, there's a knowing that you can't stay here. You can't stay here. And so a leap of faith is required. And what happens after that leap of faith? We get 2 of Pentacles. So 2 of Materials, juggling, a lot to do. There's a lot to do, a lot to take care of, a lot on your plate, a lot to juggle. There may be a negotiation here, but there will be some sense of strain. You know, when you're trying to take all the groceries into the house at the same time, and at some point you're like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to drop. Which one am I going to drop? Oh no, it's the one with the glass jar in it. I can't drop that one. But that, like, it's just, you know, I can't drop any of this, but I'm straining to make it to my door here. So that's a little bit, a handful. There, you got a handful here, and you're going to have to figure out how to go. Didn't we get this in the last one too? But this one, you weren't negotiating things very well. You weren't able to handle everything, and you were going to have to drop something. But this is, you can handle everything, but you're going to strain to do it. But the leap of faith, so even though we have this ending here and we have this leap of faith here, this 2 of Materials is almost telling me that there's some overlap that may be a little bit taxing. That even though it's over, and you see that, and you have to move on into the complete unknown, there still may be a little overlap for some of you. All right, I have no idea how long I've gone since I had to, well, I didn't stop the video. The whole thing stopped itself. All right, let's see here. Oh, that's why. Let's do a mudra here. Little hand motion for us to use in the week ahead in our meditations. Brilliance. Brilliance. I like this too with this insight card. Like brilliance. Tejas Mudra. Inner light, focus, radiance. Directs breath to heart, chest, and ribs. Assists the immune system. Awakens and uplifts energy. Bend 2 index fingers softly, touching them. Together, bring the thumbs together facing upward. Spread the other fingers apart and wide. Hold the mudra in front of the heart, a few inches away from the body. Relax the elbows downward. With heart conditions and hypertension, use caution. And I embrace the radiant brilliance of my loving heart. So this could also be part of those unintended consequences with this mudra. We never know what's going to happen when we embrace the radiant brilliance of my loving heart. So heart chakra stuff. This could also have to do with the Fool, taking a leap of faith, opening up your heart to the unknown. Not being afraid of the unknown. You're being called to take a leap of faith here. So there it is. I'll leave a picture at the end, as I always do. And then one of these little prayers for us for this reading. To close out the reading with a little prayer. All right. Walls come tumbling down. To defend ourselves against pain, we can create walls of protection around us. Sometimes without even realizing it. Those walls make it hard for love and joy to enter our world. Maybe we needed those walls once upon a time, but now it's time for those walls to come tumbling down because divine love wants to enter your world. So allowing yourself to be a little more vulnerable. I feel like this heart chakra work can help with that. A little more open, a little less defensive. This Justice card definitely can feel maybe a bit defensive. But this Fool card is definitely like vulnerability into the unknown. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me here, and we'll chat again soon. Ciao.